Oh, crumbs. Okay, no, we're good for the we're good for the title, and we've got our quality options. So things are looking up. Oh, but I did forget to put out the tweet. All right, now we're ready to go. I hope you're all doing well. I've had a slow day today, but I'm hoping we can pick it up a little bit with Stellaris. Olaf will be happy that I'm actually drinking coffee. um, but yes, it is more Stellaris tonight, and hopefully you'll be seeing that appear on the screen in just a moment. We're continuing on with the Nemesis DLC. And right off the bat, because I know I've been a little inconsistent in terms of reporting this kind of at the the right times, it is this is a key that I was given from Paradox. I'm obviously very grateful that they did so, and in fact, this has been true essentially since before Stellaris was released. I've really enjoyed following this game. What I'll be playing is not just Nemesis, but essentially all of the DLC that is available for the game. The exceptions to that would be the Necroids DLC and yeah. So the only thing I'm not playing is the Necroids DLC, and I have been given keys for Stellaris and all of the DLC, with the exception of Necroids, which I'm not playing. Plantoids and humanoids. Plantoids and humanoids I bought on my own. And while I certainly don't dislike them, they are not the ones that I jump up and scream, "Oh my God! If you want to play Stellaris, you have to play the species packs." I enjoy them very much, but clearly the gameplay and the stuff that we talk about the most are the things that I was given for promotional purposes. And of course, because playing something, even though it's been a while, playing something does sort of count as an endorsement. Certainly, I'm very favorable towards the games, and it's worth disclosing that off the top of the stream. Let's load back in. I am going to need a little while to sort of reacquaint myself with the state of play, just because I'm a little fuzzy. I know we were making some big plays as far as the galactic community was concerned. However, there are going to be a few considerations I want to weigh that I don't immediately have an answer for in the context of gameplay mechanics. So let's talk about some the big things I need to deal with at the moment. One of them is the ongoing crisis in the form of the Grey Tempest. Now, you'll notice here that the Vitresis Hive has been able to get a foothold at terminal egress and has some pretty strong fleets in position to deal with the Grey Tempest. So it is possible that they will be the one to take out the Grey Tempest. I suspect that will help them as far as their rankings are concerned. Oh my goodness. No, we're not. Okay, no, there we are. I was like, wait a minute, did we just get to the top? That is a highlight for the Guardians. So yeah. I would definitely like to be the one to take out the Grey Tempest, and it is fair to say that having such a strong force sort of fighting them has given the Vitresis Hive an excuse to have a very strong military. Let's just take a look. So apparently our fleet power is equivalent, but I should definitely not rest on my laurels as far as that power is concerned. Also, we are still dealing with the Empire Sprawl, but let's deal with the most pressing crises. So there's the Grey Tempest, and then on top of that, the whole reason why we sort of fought this war and we wanted to move in on the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation was so that I would have a claim on the L cluster myself and basically be able to take this territory. Clearly, the Vitresis Hive was able to get there before me, and so I'm now in a situation where I'm going to have to fight a fairly strong force in order to accomplish that. I completely forgot. I had a whole bunch of notes in terms of ships that I was going to create, and how much you want to bet I lost them. We still have some daylight though, so I suppose I can. Well, I got a little something here, so maybe I'm not totally lost. But yeah, so one of the good news is that for those two priorities, I actually have the same goal. And that is to build up my fleets. We are at less than half of my naval capacity. We've built enough Titans, but of course it's not just the Titans. It's I want to build the fleets around them. It looks like we're on our way to building a Juggernaut. I would be very surprised if the Juggernaut was actually built. So what are we looking at here? Yeah, so we're still building the Titans as well. So we've got about almost 3 years before the Juggernaut comes online, and then our next Titan will be coming online in a little over 2 years, or it's about 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years. So yeah, we've got a ways to go in terms of building. I am a little surprised though to know that if we're at our cap for Titans, that we're actually that built up. So let me. I'm actually going to start a new page here. This is definitely going to be, so for those of you who are watching on a VOD, this will probably be one of those spots where I see a nice gap in terms of what people are looking for. I am sort of prepping myself for the, flet. I am prepping myself for sort of the next few years of game time, so I do think this is worth taking the time for. But right now, I've got 1 Titan, 7 battleships, 13 cruisers, 14 destroyers, and 28 corvettes. I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about that fleet composition, but it's kind of what I've been running with for the last little while. Now, if I've got 6 Titans as it claims here... Hey, Night Valian, what's the carrot? Well, the carrot is compliance and joining the Commonwealth of the future Galactic Imperium. Trading with me is actually quite profitable, but, people seem to value their independence too much, so... they usually wind up opting for the stick. Good to see you, Night Valley. I'm hoping I could help you a little bit on your questions. I was a little confused for some of them. I don't know if you sent me anything more recent, but I'm hoping that I've at least given you like a slight angle towards a solution. I know it's not ideal, but I'm hoping that you can get. You can find your feet. The other thing that I mentioned in the most recent message was because there's a special tax relationship between Canada and the United States, what I see on those forms might be different than yours. I believe the US form specifically has a section to deal with those kinds of treaties, but obviously what any provider is going to show someone who's identified as being in a different region. That's anyone's guess. So I'm hoping you're able to sort of navigate those waters because it's important stuff. But my experience of a lot of this stuff has actually been, I've often found that sort of Twitch takes care of all of it, for lack of a better term. Anyways, for those of you who don't know him, Night Valian is sort of the Game Pass connoisseur. He's been playing a lot of Game Pass games lately. I found him streaming a non-Game Pass game, Lucifer Within Us by Kit Fox Games, which may or may not indicate that there is Boyfriend Dungeon in our future. But he's definitely he's a Brazilian streamer, soft-voiced, somebody who I've enjoyed watching after my own streams a little bit later. And someone I notice a lot of you have been checking out, which I'm very happy to see because obviously it's nice to be able to support others on Twitch. Okay, so the next step here, now that I've got my template and I want to see how close I am to actually fulfilling the template. So for instance, the Destiny Starfleet needs 3 corvettes, and it looks like I actually don't have 3 corvettes to give them. So hopefully those are already under construction. 1, 2, 3. Yes, they are. Okay, so we've got 3 corvettes. So that will mean that we've got 2 full-strength fleets. And the rest of this is going to be about building the remaining fleets up to full capacity. So we've got a few little patrolling fleets. I'll just let them, I'll leave them be for now. But it looks like the Forfen Star fleet is the closest thing that we have got to the Forfen Star fleet is the closest thing that we've got to sort of where we want to be. And I'm actually going to treat this a little bit differently. So the goal is going to be 6 full fleets. So we currently, in terms of our surplus, let's just say the corvettes are already on their way under construction. So we need to build 4 more. And in terms of the resources for building those fleets, we currently have the 7 battleships. Okay, and then 4 out of 13 cruisers. Okay. So obviously, I need a lot in terms of alloys to get this thing done. I think it might be better if I do these things piecemeal. So I would love to be able to build up some more battleships, and I will in general try to do that. So we've already got 2 extra on the way. So actually I should say that we're on our way to 3. But now that we're in a situation where we can't build any more battleships, I'm going to worry about trying to fulfill the cruisers that I need for the next fleet to be ready. We've got Arcanox. Thank you very much for the follow. So essentially what we've got here, we're building the Titan. We've got the corvettes underway. The corvettes are going to be filling up my secondary fleet. These battleships are eventually going to be going into the 4th fleet that I construct. So they're not a very high priority right now, but they do take a long time to build. So where I can, I do like to build up battleships just to take advantage of the time. The catch is that we already have the Titan being constructed, and cruisers aren't the fastest thing either. So I'll just build the 1 extra cruiser here. That's going to be going into the... So we've got 5 out of the 13. And I think just for the... Again, it's kind of a... It's on a... It's kind of touch and go in terms of which of these things I'm going to be building, but the big idea here is going to be where I can, I would like to build full fleets. If it's not available to me, I'm generally going to prioritize the construction that takes a really long time. So it basically takes a year from me saying I want a battleship to actually being able to construct a battleship. That's why I sort of default towards building as many of those. We've got 3. I need to build 4 more fleets. So basically 1 fleet's already got its battleships. Another is almost halfway to its battleships. So essentially we're looking at, it would have been 21, but we've lost well, not lost, but we're down the 3. So we're still looking at a fairly, like, I've got 4 construction slots, right? So we're still looking at several years worth of battleship construction to get me to the level that I want to be. Anyways, yeah, so all of that's going to be in prep for the for a fight with the Vitresis Hive, which we still don't have intel on as far as what their ships are made out of. Actually, one thing I did also want to do was just get a quick, I wanted to make a quick note of what we're looking at in terms of strength of fleets that we're against. So it looks like we've got 87, 97 and change. So let's just say an even 100k in the L cluster. Then another 103k just outside the L cluster, and then within their borders I think they're a little thinner. Yeah, because they're fighting, everything's going against the Grey Tempest. Oh, thank goodness. I was like, we're doomed if that's a... no, that's a Vitresis Hive. Okay. So essentially we're looking at about 200... let's say 225k in terms of overall fleet strength that's going to be thrown at us when the time comes. So with that in mind, let's just think about what we have to bring to the table. We're going to have 2 full 68k fleets, In order to be coming up, like basically in order to be able to match them, I'm going to need at least 4 of the fleets that I have planned. I'm not even close to that. So we're not gonna, we might provoke them in the sense of putting some claims on their territory. We are definitely not going to start a war with them, because it's one that I will lose unless I get very lucky as far as how the the Grey Tempest works. They're gonna take me out. So for most of the time, we're actually going to be scrambling and trying to get as many alloys as we can. And that brings us back to the Gearoid Empire. Now, they tend not to want to trade with me anymore. But let's see if we can... All right. So again, if I can get as many alloys as I can out of these guys, these are a potential, or they're not a potential ally. They are an ally of the Vitresis Hive. So the more I can pull out of them, the happier I am. Okay, that's a lot that I'm giving up. 725 for... My phone's dead, isn't it? So that's 8 for every, 8.5 actually for every, buying 12. Well, it's actually still a better deal than if I go on the Galactic Exchange. So this is gonna cut deep, but I think it's worth it, especially because it's probably not going to run the full 30 years. And again, anything I can get as far as alloys are concerned is better. Okay, so we'll see where that goes. I should have done an audit of the worlds, but I'll do that while things are unpaused. There's a few low single digits that I'm a little worried about. Okay. So they were okay with that trade. Again, we're doing okay for minerals, so I'm not too worried about that. I think we've got 10 years before I can reduce the council size to 1. I mean, there's other things that I can propose. For instance, I think the Tithe of the Soulless would be 1. Yeah, actually, I should take a minute here and decide on some policies that I want to pass as well. So leveraged privateering would increase the bureaucrat upkeep, lower naval capacity. So it's really just the diplomatic weight from economy that I would want. Oh, actually, yeah. So because I'm going to want to adjust the council size again, anything I can do to sort of cut the Vitresis Hive on off at the knees. So their fleet power is 6127. Their pops are 758. Their economy is 1504. And their tech is 3818. And I know they're going to be clobbering us with that because I need to deal with my Empire Sprawl. So in contrast, my fleets are 4688. My pops are really driving my superiority, so that's 19. Our economies seem to be about even. And then my tech, yeah, I'm a bit of a backwater compared to them. So anything I can do to give bonuses to... So essentially what I want to do, where I can, I want to pass measures that will blunt the effect of fleet power and technology. And the things that I want to promote are the things that will boost the diplomatic power of POP, particularly POPs, and also economy. So with that in mind, we've got Galactic Commerce. So perfect example here. So if we did build a better tomorrow, I mean, I already like that because of the extra alloy. I know it hurts the habitability, but I think we can work around that. Galactic Market. So I still want the organic slave trade just because I can buy back some of my POPs. I'm a little tempted to try and relocate the Galactic Market, but I don't think I quite have the force to be able to push that over. And I don't think we can impose sanctions anymore. So building a better tomorrow is one that I would consider. Now, the greater good. So Charter of Workers' Rights, 20% bonus for POPs, and that already has intermediate support. Quint says, will System Chalk become a master of the universe, or will Kevin Smith rewrite him into oblivion? Good to see you, Quint. We're doing okay. We're already the lifelong galactic custodian. I don't know what happens if I impose the Empire, so I want to try and get my war out of the way before I do that. Council could denounce my vassal. Yeah, so I'm probably going to be focusing on these two right now. Ecological protection, so that sort of starts canceling out some of the economic weight. I don't necessarily want to do that. If anything, I'd actually like to repeal the recycling initiatives. Does it not say what it's... Yeah, it's a reduction in consumer goods upkeep, though, which is something I kind of need right now because I'm spending so much in trade. Mutual defenses is going to improve the support for... I would never want to No Aim BTW, thank you very much for the follow. You like to play it, but your system is a potato. I don't think the requirements are that high for this game. I know it's probably, compared to some of the other Paradox games, maybe a little more demanding. But let me just take a quick second here, just looking at the Steam page. So the minimum requirements, Windows 7 Service Pack 1, an Intel i3 530 or an AMD FX 6350, which seems to be a pretty basic requirement. 4 gigs of RAM, a GeForce GTX 460 or an ATI Radeon 5870, or the RX Vega 11 and Intel HD Graphics 4600. The recommended would be Windows 10, an i5 3570K or an AMD Ryzen 5 2400G. Again, 4 gigs RAM, GTX 560 Ti or the Radeon R7 370. So yeah, I mean, again, like it's definitely don't play it on like the largest galaxy size, but I don't know, the requirements seem to be a bit of a relatively modest compared to some of the others. CPU is your biggest bottleneck. It's ancient. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm on a Skylake, which the thing kicked ass at the time, but like I'm realizing, I think it's like 5 or 6 generations old now. The catch is that we're also in this big shift for chips. So like obviously Apple's switching to, they're switching their architecture. That's going to be a long shift, but that's probably going to mean a general shift. Intel has really just been, like, Intel hasn't been impressing. Intel is just sort of relying on the fact, like for me, a lot of the math libraries that I rely on for a lot of my data stuff, they get crippled if you're not on an Intel processor. So I've really been trying to avoid doing an upgrade until we see exactly what the world's going to look like as far as chips are concerned. But yeah, no. I like talking about tech stuff too. It actually also gives me a chance to take a sip of water. Actually, a few gulps of water. But yeah, so I'd really like to do the defense and war. We're in breach of this resolution. Galactic community members that are not vassals of another empire that are using less than half of their naval capacity are in breach of galactic law. Wow. Yeah, we're not doing that. The Guardian Angels. Oh. So this would blunt the diplomatic weight from fleet power. I'd see an increase in army upkeep. The only thing is, again, we don't really have the support. Oh, this would be really interesting. The problem is if we all declared war on the Vitresis Hive, I actually think we'd lose. All right, and then there's the question of the custodianship reform. So again, to be able to pass increasingly impressive legislation, I'm probably going to do Building a Better Tomorrow and the Greater Good. And then when it comes to trying to accomplish the things that I want, so we don't really need the United Front. I don't believe the Grey Tempest counts as an endgame crisis. Galactic Mobilization, the future of our galaxy is at stake. Massive fleets of war must be rapidly mobilized, even if it means the impressment of civilian merchant crews. So I believe that's only for me, so that would give me an additional 150, although it lowers my trade value, so it's not helpful to me right now because I'm not using the capacity I already have. Galactic Standard would be nice, except that I'm already drowning in influence. Anti-piracy, again, I don't really need to worry about that. And Proclaim the Galactic Imperium. I'd really like to try this. And in fact, I could get away with it. I just don't know what happens if I try to declare war on the Vitresis Hive. Then there's the Galactic Defense Force. This one is actually one I should probably seriously consider. Because of course it means that this is just an extra army or an extra navy for me to work with. And probably the sooner I get that passed, the better. Okay, you know what? Let's put that one up. Yeah, we'll wait till after that one passes, and then I think if we're looking for the biggest bang as far as so the biggest difference would definitely be the pop thing. So I think the greater good. So the funny thing here is we'll pass a Charter of Workers' Rights not because we like the workers, but because it means we can really screw the Vitresis Hive with it. But we do need to lay the groundwork in terms of me getting stronger as far as my navy is concerned. So. After much deliberation, Death King Gapra Fen has decided to accept your trade proposal. Why are you called the Death King? Okay, anyways, let's go back to auditing our world, just making sure that there aren't any major employment crises about to happen. We sort of did this earlier. So as you can see, a lot of bureaucratic centers. Because my technology's really been suffering because of the Empire Sprawl. I don't know if I should try. Well, I mean, the only reason we haven't taken them over is because they are currently defended by the Vitresis Hive, who've got a fleet large enough to deal with the Grey Tempest. I mean, I could also get a Fallen Empire fleet to help out.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Hey, 10% bonus to research speed. I'm happy with that. Okay, so some additional administrative capacity. I'm happy with it. Again, everything we can do to kind of shrink the gap makes me happier. Restructuring the managerial web linking core worlds to the capital can help alleviate the administrative stressors and information choke points that frequently arise within a budding empire. So we're well past the point. Like in this case, we're just going to be seeing nice bonuses towards pretty much everything. So let's add to our leader lifespans for starters. Nope. So we need regular worker jobs. I wasn't expecting that. Let's resettle them. Same story on Intham, it looks like. So I'm not quite ready to... I don't think I'm quite ready to shuffle around some of these jobs yet, so...
The faithful have claimed a new world.
Okay. Again, we'll build our shake and bake colonies, so gene clinics for starters. Temple because we are devout. I believe I've been building a stronghold as a default each time too. So Nigel, size 24, so that looks pretty good.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
I don't think we need the minerals. Giga Cannon, an even more powerful mass accelerator cannon that can rip through even the toughest shields. Okay, so we're not quite ready for the percent-based bonuses yet. We'll do Devastator torpedoes just because they are they're military-oriented. And we should hopefully have those corvettes built now. Yeah. So we'll peel those 3 out. And that's so we can combine them with the Destiny Starfleet. I could upgrade them, but again, we want to make sure that we got to fill up the numbers that we have here. Actually, the one thing I'll do is take the battleship, spin that one out, combine it with the Pomelin, and I think we said we wanted 13 cruisers, so unless we constructed the other one, which we didn't. So, sorry, that's 7 battleships. So we've got 4 or 5 of the 13. So 8 of 13. And I will upgrade these when I can, but it is pretty important to me that right now it's important to me that we put our alloys towards building new things. So I suppose if I wanted... Oh yeah, we've already declared an emergency measure here. I could veto some of these things, but I think they'll just be defeated on their own. And also, I had forgotten... excuse me. I believe I also forgot that when it comes to... I think I'd been sort of doing some early closure on certain measures. I'd forgotten that there's an influence cost associated with it. Okay. Now, the Shroud's actually not been rewarding me as much as it previously has. And this is, of course, in line with the lore. But we're doing pretty well. I mean, it's 2 months worth of income to be able to access the Shroud, so... okay, a flock of spirits glowing with dazzling colors that do not exist in normal space dance around us for several hours as we venture deeper into the Shroud. The spectacle is enjoyable until a realization hits us. We are being herded. So in this case, I want to do the decreased ship upkeep. Now, ship repair is nice. Increased lifespans is great. But not only is this one a higher probability, but I believe ship upkeep also applies to alloys. So yeah, being able to get... I mean, if I could get rid of maintenance, 147 a turn would be pretty nice as far as production. We're producing 385 right now, so it's not exactly half, but it's the fraction of my production that's going towards upkeep is not great. So go for the boon bestowed. Our telepaths have managed to establish a temporary conduit between the Shroud and our starships. The normal wear and tear that all starships suffer from has all but disappeared in our fleets. As a result, our fleet upkeep costs have been significantly decreased. So let's actually see, it says 30% here, so we're currently at about 150, so this should be pretty easy to identify. let's make sure that we actually got it. So 149.51. We're going to need to wait for the month to turn over, obviously, but I can wait. Yep, okay. That's going to be very helpful. The agreement that we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it for another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information that we offer? Again, it's 5,000 very well spent. I'm a little nervous about the possibility of the Vitresis Hive expanding even further into the L cluster, but what am I going to do about it, right? Like, I can complain all I want. It's, you know, I need to actually, I need to turn that into some kind of action if I want to do more than complain. Sorry, I forgot how many cruisers we've got in the queue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's on top of the 4 that we should already have. Yep, so we just need 3 more. Two more. The corvettes and destroyers should be pretty easy to grab. I'm not too worried about getting those. So one reason I'm not... so you may be wondering why I'm doing a deal with something like the Gearoid Empire. Basically, I'm not convinced that the Gearoid Empire is going to make the best use of these minerals that I'm sending out to them. The Zaxoids and the Endurga successor Khanate, while I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to supply them with alloys, what I do want them doing is building up their own military resources using the tool, like what they have available. So essentially, if I am trading with the Zaxoid or the Endurga in order to get additional alloys, that's taking those resources away from my allies. If, on the other hand, I'm taking the alloys from the Gearoids, and, you know, it would be wonderful if I could do this with the Vitresis Hive. I just know they don't like me enough to, you know, let me do it. Again, there's the possibility that they'll be able to turn those minerals into something that, you know, that affects me. Obviously, you can build plants that will produce alloys with minerals. But the idea here is that I feel like I'm doing a better job of denying a rival the ability to you know, to make war against me by taking those alloys and putting them towards my own uses. Esteemed Matriarch Tigi Dikara, a decade ago the Black Codex pledged to support the Artisan Troop, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? Again, money well spent. Just trying to think if there's anything I can do at the moment. I do think I should consider terraforming some planets at some point. We've already got a few in the queue. Yeah, it's really just a question of getting all the alloys that I can. I should also keep an eye on my worlds, because I have a feeling there's going to be more unemployment problems. I should probably take a second here and make sure that they're... Yeah, so this is an example of a world where really it shouldn't be that hard to fill some worker slots. Okay, yeah, everybody's in favor of the Defense Force, so... And the Vitresis Hive have opened their borders again. I wonder how long that's going to last. They keep trolling me because I'd love to be able to actually see what's in that wormhole. Yeah, there we go.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Basic mechanics of a ship shields are more complex, but they can be adjusted and improved in a multitude of ways. So physics, again, we're sort of at the limit. In this case, it's really just a matter of going for the cheap stuff where I can. Oop, I didn't want attack speed. I wanted the energy credits. Energy credits allow me to buy more alloys. That's basically the logic behind that. Doesn't mean I don't want additional energy weapon damage. It just means that I see better uses elsewhere. All right, so Araness. Well, okay. The problem with Araness is not the fact that it's got worker unemployment. It's just I don't know what to do with my workers right now. So we'll send them to Avexis, which sort of seems to be the place to go when I don't know what else to do with people. I'm a little surprised that Dram Secundus counts as an urban world. I would have thought I'd have made a specific choice. Am I missing something here as far as the... No, hang on. It's one bubbling swamp, one crystalline cavern. Right. Oh. I don't think I've seen this. Representatives of the Black Codex. A temporary blockade is now in effect at Mathula. Processing and transportation of food and minerals through the system are now subject to seizure by external customs and acquisitions offices of the Bemat Thassalocracy. All non-merchant vessels will be turned away or else fired upon. These conditions shall remain in effect until our ECA quotas can be met. Sometimes these customs checks can be stressful. We understand, cooperate, and no one need be harmed. And please, rest assured that every grain and ore that we solemnly claim will be put to good use within the Bernat Cohab propagation scheme. We are grateful for your consideration for a brighter, self-made future. Who are these guys? What? All right. Well, the Endurga are going to get it in the teeth. I'm going to put on our serious face and send out the Vernala. Wow, that is a lot of Corvettes. Uh-oh. Sleeper's awake. It began as a subtle shift in Rithelian behavior, scattered reports of their ships, once rarely seen outside their own space, now being spotted in remote systems all across the galaxy. Highly advanced scouting vessels visiting ancient ruined worlds, refusing all hails and fleeing when attacked, their purpose and mission unknown until now. We now know that the Rithelian were preparing, recovering the databanks of survey beacons and automated scouting posts left behind when they retreated to their present borders, gathering information for their return to the galactic stage. In Rithelian space, fleets are gathering, armies are being mustered, and ancient factories roar to life. For the first time in an age, the Rithelian Crusaders are looking outwards beyond their borders and towards the galaxy at large. As their decaying shipyards are repaired and refitted and the dormant systems of Titan foundries come online, the rest of the galaxy is left with only one question. Who will this once sleeping giant target first in their quest to reclaim their age-old glory? This is terrible for me. Giants in the playground. All right. Well, okay, actually, there's one way where this is good for me, which is if they start going after the Vitresis hive. But this is bad for me because the archivists, these guys, are going to wake up. They are going to kick my ass. So, number one... Galactic Contender. So this will improve my diplomatic weight, and it will also help my damage against awakened empires. the idea of taking out the Vitresis hive has suddenly gotten a little bit more remote, because we are definitely at a point where we want to neutralize this as early as possible. The one thing that would be interesting, okay, so if we take a look at my current forces right now, 69k, 63k, we've got some more fleets on the way. 57k here. So there is a small chance that we could sort of strangle this in the cradle. We could take out their two big fleets and be able to really put the screws to them. But I'd rather not. Like, if I can, it would be nice to avoid that particular fight for as long as I can. But if, this is the biggest possible signal that I need to get my armies, I need to get my navies in shape, and I really needed to do that yesterday. So at this point here, that is priority number one. Everything that I can do to get basically these fleets fully ready to go, I should be doing it. So with that in mind, we've got these 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And because we can afford more battleships, I'm going to put the balance inside there. Oh. I guess the one thing that I'm sort of hoping for here is that the Vitresis hive are hopefully going to be able to fight these guys to a standstill. Okay. How in the world did it get to this? So we don't have any specialized jobs for people on Avexis. Well, I guess the good news is that Cadulum needs bureaucrats. Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, I wasn't thinking straight. Void superiority. The construction of the impressive juggernaut has been completed. This mobile behemoth changes the paradigm of offensive warfare entirely. It can construct and repair ships on the front line and is equipped with devastating firepower, allowing for ceaseless assault on those who dare stand against us. Only fools will oppose the Black Codex now. Well, we got more than a few fools to worry about, so let's not pat ourselves on the back too much, but I am happy that we've got that flying. Okay, so I'm just looking for my bureaucratic centers to try and get this thing running. I mean, I guess the one thing I can do with the Juggernaut right now is I'll get this one to start constructing the destroyers that we need. You've seen your AI ally take on a 100k fleet with a 20k fleet and win. You have no idea how, but anything is possible. So the one possibility would be, I've gotten caught a couple of times by this with, welcome by the way. If you're overly reliant on shields and then you wind up in a system that neutralizes them. So no, that's a speed reduction. Surely we've got a good nebula here somewhere. So yeah, nebulae block. Oh no, hang on. The nebulae block the outside sensors. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So the environmental effects are definitely something to take pretty seriously. And then, I mean, I know also in the game there are, so I believe it does kind of penalize you for coming with like too much power. I believe if you like if you attack someone with a fleet of overwhelming force, I believe there is actually a combat bonus that the defending fleet gets. They mentioned that when the Apocalypse patch came out, so I don't know if that has changed. But yeah, with that in mind, I personally wouldn't have expected something 5 times as large to be defeated. But yeah, there I think are a couple of things that might have explained that. Okay, so clearly we don't know what to do with our influence right now. So let me just take a second here and see. Actually, sorry, one thing I want to check is my policy. Okay, we have changed my diplomatic stance. That's good. So we've got fortify the border, starbase upgrade speed. Okay, definitely don't want the extra empire sprawl. Nutritional plentitude, again, doesn't work for me because of the sprawl. Fleet supremacy, bonus starting experience, faster ship speed, but higher ship upkeep, so that doesn't really work for me here. I mean, bonus envoys is kind of nice. Oh, hang on a second. These are all edicts, though, so I believe there's a penalty if I... Right, so my sprawl goes up. Let's go for philosophical mind. Okay, we can get away with both. And I suppose the question is, now I'm drowning in Unity right now, so I suppose we should check. Okay, we're not fighting a defensive war. I really should have been working on this a little bit earlier. Okay, Grand Fleet is kind of tempting. I don't really care about the naval capacity, but the upkeep, the shift in upkeep is definitely helpful. So let's do a Grand Fleet. Again, I'm probably generating more Unity than I really know what to do with. I could probably blast all of these and not really care about it. But again, in this case here, I'm really just trying to churn out as much as I can, ship-wise. So again, we're pumping out the destroyers and all of that through the Juggernaut just to give myself the extra space in my main shipyards to be building things like battleships. Okay, I think pretty much as a standard, we're sending everybody to a Vexus until further notice. Actually, you know what? I'm a little curious now that the questions come up. Or not the question, but the statements come up. I'm wondering if it can explain... The wikis sometimes hit or miss. Sorry, this is in general on the Paradox wikis. I'm really happy that they have them. I'm happy that they continue to be maintained. But I do know it's sometimes hit and miss in terms of how detailed they get. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Space warfare is probably closer. Yeah, so like we've got the chance to hit formula, which is nice. There we go. Force disparity is a combat bonus applied when a smaller force is engaged with a larger one in battle. Clarification required: is a smaller force one with fewer ships, lower total command limit points, or military power? The English is ambiguous, but fewer ships makes most sense due to the target-rich environment, while smaller ships' evasion would mitigate the rate of fire effect, and gives a bonus to the fire rate of all ships belonging to the smaller force. Force disparity scales linearly with fleet size difference. So, for example, a ship force that is engaging a hostile ship force twice as big will gain a 50% bonus to its firing speed, representing the fact that the smaller force has an easier time maneuvering and targeting the larger enemy force. Force disparity will never make a smaller force win unless it has a significant technological advantage. It will, however, ensure that all but the most overwhelming forces will take casualties and bear a cost for their victory. So yeah, like, I don't want to overstate what this thing does, because even like the wiki is unambiguous in terms of saying that it's not like the blue shell. But it is one of those things that can creep up on you if you're not paying attention. Okay. How much you want to bet this fleet's just standing around doing nothing? Do I even want to guess where the pirates went? Let's head back home. I'm a little annoyed that I have to do this, but just again, because we've got empires waking up. Yeah, man, look at how quick those things grew. So they've got 3 fleets now. Okay, the Forfan Star fleet clearly wound up messed up here, so let's kill a couple battleships. I only need 7, and I believe it was just 13 cruisers. So of course the surplus just goes into the next group. That is still somewhat working as intended, but it's nice to just be able to keep sort of a tighter grip on where the improvements are coming from. So we've got 6 of the destroyers. We need 14. So we're still a pretty long ways away from getting what we need. And then I do sort of want to make sure, yeah, so this is the one thing I was hoping to avoid, which is a situation where this queue is completely empty. So again, this is something of an extreme measure, but in this case, I'm willing to spend the energy credits to buy up alloys. And if we had to throw everything we've got 17-ish K. The thing that worries me the most about this is not so much... So this, I think we can very easily take out. What worries me is the idea of trying to fight our way into Pentarum to fight the 108K special reaction flotilla in addition to the 80... Damn it! Okay, well, we lost our opportunity to catch him by surprise, so... Ancient rivals, the return of the Rithelian to the galactic scene has not gone unnoticed by the other fallen empires present in our galaxy. The Ik-Nurval in particular appeared to be most agitated at the news. It seems that these two proud nations are ancient rivals, and though the reasons for their rivalry has long since faded into history, the sudden reawakening of the Rithelian Crusaders has inflamed old animosities and triggered a counter-reaction. The Ik-Nurval regulators have roused themselves from their slumber to face their old rivals, with the whole galaxy as their battleground. What will this mean for us all? All right, so we need to get ready for some badness. But again, we are at a point here where every second that I spend not at war is a chance for me to build more fleets. So we are going to pray. All right. And it looks like they want to claim these. So if it comes down to it, we go in and we try to take as many of these worlds as we can. If we have to give up some of this territory, so be it. But what we want to do is we want to deny them the ability to... to build more ships, which they are going to be doing. They've already got additional fleets. But I mean, even, like, there's a side of me that would maybe want to do a deal with the devil with the Rethelian Crusaders. But that's too... I think that's a little too much to ask. Ah. I've got one too many Titans here. That explains why my numbers are off. I don't think I'm ready for this. I think we're gonna lose, but we'll do our best. Could this be where everything began? Reach into the Shroud. This is a particularly tempestuous region of the Shroud. Massive currents of raw psionic energy are funneled through here, sometimes giving violent birth to semi-intelligent spiritual apparitions. These confused spirits often clash with one another, unleashing massive amounts of psychic power in battles that can last millennia. In fact, several such duels seem to be taking place right now. We should proceed with caution. Alright, let's try and bring in a psionic avatar. Powerful energies of the Shroud have been successfully channeled into a psionic avatar under our control. After transitioning into our universe, the newborn avatar has coalesced into a colossal warrior on the surface of Quantos. The funny thing is that the psionic avatar isn't really all that impressive anymore, but it's every little bit helps at this point. Where is it? Okay, well, they opened their borders back to me again. I guess that means everything's okay, right? Okay, did they say I got a psionic avatar and they lied? Because I don't see this in my fleets anywhere. Curse them. Okay, let's bring in a new colony ship. Again, I'm not gonna turn off expansion plans with the war in heaven approaching. I do want to be mindful of my access to battleships. If I can get all of that construction done, I'll be happy. Oh wow, we can build another Titan. I'm a little reluctant to do so, just because, you know, I kind of need to bring my own fleets up to scratch.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Advanced torpedoes with very powerful warheads. They have a sleeker design, faster engines, and upgraded shield modulators for slipping through energy screens. Mega engineering is very tempting right now. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, and you go back to Cadulum. Okay. I'm also going to do something that'll make me very sad, but I am going to hit the upgrade buttons on everybody. That's gonna destroy my alloys for the next little bit. I gotta find some other things to dump my... Oh, I know what I can do. I don't need to worry about influence. So again, any hopes of war with the Vitresis Hive, we gotta wait for the War in Heaven to finish. Senate session can be concluded prematurely. As tempted as I am, I think I just spent all of my influence. 190. I mean, I get it back reasonably quickly. Screw it. The Senate has ratified the creation of a standing multinational military force intended for the defense of the galactic community. This galactic defense force will recruit its personnel from all community members, who are also required to contribute resources towards the construction of its fleet. With the galaxy engulfed in turmoil and under constant threat by forces that seek to exterminate all sapient life, it is hoped that the GDF will be able to bring the fight to the enemy and secure the borders of the community. They will be placed under the direct command of the Black Codex, the Galactic Custodians. The galaxy will become a safer place. So we've already removed the term limits. A united front. Again, I don't know whether or not this can. Here's the cost. I can't do another measure. So here's a question that I have on this. Let's do war in. Because I don't know whether or not the. Okay, War in Heaven, special event where Second Fallen Empire awakens, as well as two awakened empires eventually launch a great war against one another, with normal empires acting as satellite states in their game. Once the first Fallen Empire awakens, an ancient rival may be chosen with the following chances. The big question here is whether or not they actually count as endgame crisis factions. I'm gonna guess no, but you know it's academic at this point because I need to wait for the influence anyway. Okay, why are you upset? Well, we can definitely afford some more workers here. Let's start with more... Okay, this one's going to go to Avexis. So I always need to find the balance between sort of expanding out my existing infrastructure on certain planets and moving people to better ones. So in this case here, it's pretty easy for us to expand the planet, whereas some of my earlier worlds, they don't really have any space anymore. So okay, education campaign we can definitely afford. And in fact, I think that's going to wipe me out, so I think I'm going to wait a little while before spending money on alloys again. Although, maybe I can get my Juggernaut to pop out a couple more destroyers. The GDF destroyers are cheaper. Okay, so I think this is going to be a consequence of wanting to upgrade all of my ships, but again, that's going to make that number get bigger, so it's not the end of the world. Good God. Okay, hang on. Placid Leviathans isn't as frightening, so... Yeah, so they've got four big... We've got four big fleets. We're definitely not in a... We're not in a state to take them on, but... So the aim here is just to keep adding people to these bureaucratic centers until we close that Empire Sprawl gap. Again, I am not prepared. I mean, we're almost at the halfway mark as far as my, my big fleets are concerned. So I suppose there's a small bonus there.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
And I am kind of knocking out the battleships. Admittedly, at a slower pace than what I wanted. If it really comes down to the point where we need to fight, the regulators, I'll just combine up all the Titans into sort of a super fleet. Just, it's gonna suck. Okay, so the Gearoid couldn't afford the alloys. Again, I want to bleed them dry if I can. So whatever it takes to... This seems really close to the deal I was doing with them before. Can I even afford that? And we've got our longer lifespans. Regimens of periodic cell revitalization treatments keep the leader class spry and active beyond traditionally expected lifespans. Let's do more administrative capacity. This is going to come back to bite me because it's going to cost an arm and a leg, but for the time being, let's get what we can. I'm also tempted to start buying alloys if I can. But that's just going to drive the price up. So let's trade. I'll trade as much as I can and then just cross my fingers. Yeah. Okay, they lack the alloys, so I can't push as hard. The good news is that they're the ones who harm the relation by breaking the agreement. But I do actually want these alloys, so we'll make it 70. Okay, I'm not even going to try. Let's get that Juggernaut back on the job. Okay, so let's just see where we're at. 9 of 14, 10 of 14, so let's just knock out 4 more destroyers. Zen World. Cool. Oh, and we don't have the alloys. Ah! Yeah, it looks like the 70s managed to hold the line a little bit better. And hopefully next month we'll be able to get that last destroyer. Again, it's all building towards the Forfin Starfleet getting up to full capacity. We'll still need to do the upgrades and such. But again, the more sort of full Starfleets I can get, the better. The Polyman... Actually, we only need one more battleship to get that thing online, so that makes me happy. We're not building them right now, which is maybe a little distressing, but we wound up doing a bit better than I was expecting. We still need a total of 15 battleships, so that is a big outlay of alloys still to come.
Our ships
Hang on,
have been improved.
I'm building one too many destroyers. So it's not like I don't need the extra destroyer. Oh, wait a minute, I screwed up. I did actually need that one. Okay. But yeah, so we still need to build 15 more. We still need to build 15 more. Whatchamacallit? We still need to build 15 more. Battleships. But of course, we're not at a point where I can really afford that. So we're making do. Now, I don't want to improve. So, United Front might be a worthwhile one. I really don't want to do like Galactic Mobilization. I don't want to do anything that'll hamper my ability to generate money, and I don't want to like expand the defense force, for instance, because that's going to have an alloy cost. We're not quite ready to change the council size yet. But I think I am going to do the Charter of Workers' Rights, which seems a little frivolous, but it's going to make sure that if that isn't the thing to make me sort of a majority vote on the council, it brings me really darn close. Oh, hello. You get to go to Avexis. And we can't afford it, so we're going to pay up. That is going to go into new battleships. So we needed 15 before. Well, now we need 14. That wasn't as impressive as I was thinking it would be. So I've got 2 Corvettes. I think the full design needs 28. Yeah. So as many as we can get. I don't know what that sound was, but it scared me. So again, I want to keep an eye on what's going on in terms of their expansion. The more spread out they are, I'm okay with that. But it's their ability to build fleets that makes me most nervous. And the fact that they don't have a direct path to their long-standing rivals is the thing that's gonna keep me up at night. We can't call this as an emergency measure, right? Yeah.
One of our stations is beset by enemies.
Ah, crap. How much you want to bet that's that? Yep. How strong is that station? It might be able to handle things on its own. It's doubtful because, of course, once these things get going, like it's gonna get ripped apart. So I will send reinforcements, but let's hope that they hold their own for as long as we can. Okay, so Epsilon Indy Prime has got unemployment. I really should get the AI to automate this at this point, but. And this is workers, so here we'll just build 3 more city districts. We probably don't actually need 3. And it's an industrial world, so there we go. I wish I knew what happened to this this fleet before. Oh my god, this thing's gonna melt.
Our ships have been improved.
Yeah, this is not my favorite thing to have happen right now. I suppose the one bit of good news is that the need for this particular defensive structure isn't quite the same as it used to be. But we did put a lot of effort into building that up, and it's all gone.
Research station martyred.
I think it's also
station martyred.
fair to say that this is not a bad preview of what's going to happen at the Mesa system. Let's get that construction ship ready to go. Okay. Still has too many battleships. I don't even want to know what happened there. Okay. Yes. Get a battleship out. That goes with Pomlin. So again, the good news with Pomlin is that it's got its full complement of battleships now, so we're well on our way to our 4th full-strength fleet. I guess the defensive platforms we lost there, but the actual base itself should be fine. Again, keeping an eye, making sure that these guys... I wonder, can we send... No, we can't send spies yet. Timed project. Ah, good. So that's going to mean... Let's find a science ship that's orbiting a planet that's not doing anything too special. Okay, so Taya, what are you actually producing science-wise? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so Borobo is going to get punched. This looks a lot stronger than it actually is.
Mining station martyred.
And again, the temptation is to go and start punching one of the fallen empires. But the trick is, as soon as those things get angry, you better... Starbase has destroyed a pirate station in the Yinnan system. How'd they pull that off? I mean, I'm happy about it, but... Alright, I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this, but honestly, let's just sell what we can minerals-wise, and... I would have liked a little bit more in reserve, but I need battleships. Okay, overall though, looking good here. The Forfan Starfleet should be ready to go before too long. The rest of it, I'm not sure, but... Okay, and we've got another trip to the Shroud. Hopefully this time I actually get my avatar. I still don't know what happened there. Okay, take the greatest of care. Even a stray thought can be shaped into something tangible in this place, and, more often than not, turned against oneself. Void here shimmens with power. Let us rest a while. So this is one I'm actually willing to do the medium probability for, because the decreased ship upkeep is something that's going to improve my ability to get these things built. And we got it. So our telepaths have managed to establish a temporary conduit between the Shroud and our starships. The normal wear and tear that all starships suffer from has all but disappeared in our fleets. As a result, our upkeep costs have been significantly decreased. Senate's now in session. I don't think I can quite afford the influence to do what I want there. But I'll work with it. I don't even know where we're at in terms of the corvettes. I'm just going to keep cranking them out because the Poleman Starfleet's going to need some bonuses before too long. Or not bonus. It's going to need some. It's going to need some corvettes. As soon as we clear out the Borobo system, we'll be able to research in Yinan, and the construction ship's gonna fix the mess. I hope we have a ship colonizing. Yes. I'm just being impatient. Okay, let's actually start counting where we're at. So we're at 17. The total number that I want is 28. So that's 11 more. 9 more now. Okay, 2 more, and we've got a third.
Station engaged.
Pirate station raided. The Varnella Starfleet has destroyed a pirate station in the Bornebo system and recovered its strong room module. Aside from the various stolen resources, the module also contained an ancient datapad with partial schematics of what appears to be a subspace gateway. There are no records of where the pirates obtained this mysterious datapad, but it has furthered our understanding of how the Galactic Gateway Network functions. Of course, what we're really looking for are these guys. So let's get the repairs underway. Research before mining. It's kind of neat, though, that they've got the Inquisitor fleet is setting up pirate bases. I'm assuming that's a new thing in Nemesis. Now, I'm hoping we don't lose any ships out of this, but that's a lot of corvettes for me to be... Like, my screening ships are definitely overwhelmed with this. Yeah, so we just lost 3, 4, 5... Oh my god, that's a lot of corvettes that we just lost. So, I need 9 replacements. We'll obviously pull them out of another fleet, but it's just annoying that I was on my way to saying we were done. Okay, so it's a little inconvenient to jump between the two like this, but I do want to get the stale research done first. Where are you, my delicious construction ship? You know what? You'll do. Okay. So obviously all the alloys are going to go into corvettes for the next little bit. Only need 3 more for 4th fan. I'll probably do the upgrade once we get the 3 corvettes, just so that I can knock that off the list. So I do the fleet manager mostly just because it it's a convenient reminder for me. I don't know if it's actually practically useful yet. I have often found that ships get lost more often than not. So I'm generally reluctant to use it. I love the idea of it. It tends not to be something that really works for me in practice. All right, who opposes? All right, we knew this was coming, and I've got one of my better fleets, which is actually not ready for a fight and far away from the capital. So, ever since the awakening of the Rithelian and their ancient Iknurval rivals, the two giants have been at odds, skirmishing and jockeying for influence, probing each other's might. This has resulted in a series of increasingly terse confrontations, finally erupting in an open battle between a Rithelian fleet and their Iknurval counterparts in a remote system. This conflict has now escalated into a full-blown war between the Rithelian Crusaders and the Iknurval Regulators. Each side has sent a representative to the younger races, promising great rewards for those who join them in their war and terrible punishments for those who choose to stand against them. Choosing either side in this conflict will mean giving up our independence, but remaining neutral may be even more dangerous unless we can find other neutral empires to stand by our side. So we will not take sides in this conflict. I don't want to deliberately provoke them, but you better believe we're going to go crashing into their territory. I do want to see, though, whether or not anybody okay, Vitrese's Hive didn't bow the knee. Bend the knee. Okay, we are in the weird position where we actually have more Corvettes than we need for the forefund. So, whether or not this upgrade actually happens, we'll let it run through. Oh, they are totally getting ready to invade. 94 days before I can call an emergency resolution. That's good. So what we can do, if need be, yeah, we will denounce. Wow, there's weak support for denouncing. Fair enough. They're totally going to invade. All right, the League of Non-Aligned Powers. Not all of the younger races chose to join with either side in the war raging between the Elder Empires. Some, like ourselves, have remained neutral, but are facing the prospect of fighting the Elder Menace alone if the war should come their way. We have been contacted by representatives from other empires about the idea of creating a League of Non-Aligned Powers with the explicit goal of opposing both sides in the war. As we are the current galactic custodians, we have been asked to lead this league. Accepting would almost certainly mean war with the awakened empires, but at least we would have allies to stand by our side instead of facing them alone. We will lead this league. League membership request. The Vitrese's Hive have formally requested to join the League of Non-Aligned Powers. We will be glad to have them. Okay, so
a sacred covenant has been forged.
This is a huge improvement for us because while obviously it means that we're probably going to have to learn to live with the Vitrese's Hive, that is a huge fleet which we're now going to be able to use. Now again, they are going to be fighting the Rithelian Crusaders, and so as a consequence, we can't necessarily count on it, but you know, step by step, right? The Gurite Empire formally requested to join the League of Non-Aligned Powers. We'll be glad to have them. The next Federation level has been unlocked. Our new Federation perks are now active. Black Codex is chosen as the new president of the League of Non-Aligned Powers. Let history record that on this day, the governments of the Black Codex and the Endurga successor Khanate signed a treaty of federation. As founding members of the League of Non-Aligned Powers, they will now face the future as firm allies. This new galactic union will serve as a shining example to the rest of the galaxy of all that can be accomplished by working together. A new era of interstellar diplomacy has begun. Okay, so much going on. Economy? Really? Okay. Try and boost the cohesion. I should probably just declare the Imperium and
We are spreading
have it
our
over with.
faith to a new world.
Members of the Federation are united and ready to cooperate to deal with whatever problems, hegemony. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it be for now. I have a feeling that I'm probably gonna have to finesse this a little bit.
Debris analyzed.
So this isn't that great for me over here. Just because they're in a protected position.
Incoming transmission.
Migration treaty from the Endurga. Why not? And Kajalam has unemployment. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, so clearly I need to go through all of my worlds to get some balance back. Sorry, I know I'm kind of getting in my own head for a lot of what's going on here, but there is a lot that's changed. Okay, Knights. Okay, easy to see why. We need to find something for our workers to do. We'll start by giving them some generators. And then Borobo, it's a forge world. You are going to go to Avexis. Kajalam, I was a little surprised by... Oh, it actually doesn't have that many bureaucratic jobs. Fair enough. Well, that's an easy one to fix. Wentwork, same deal. You know what? I think I'm just going to go through all of my worlds, and I think we're at a point now where I need to properly properly balance this all again. Okay, so Quantos currently only has one clerk job available. We should be doing okay for more than okay for exotic gases. So let's get those upgrades in. This would be for crystals, which we are also laughing in terms of quantities, and for motes. Not as many as you'd think, so I'll actually hang on to that for now. Okay, Anthem. I'm fine with that. Mostly what I want to be on the lookout for right now are sort of low single digits in terms of worker jobs. And then if I have a chance to upgrade certain buildings, I'll take it, but those are not major priorities right now. Okay, Wentwork's a good research world, so we'll get those upgrades in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say skip the Hollow Temples for now because we don't really need the Unity. I know it gives me social research, but that's not nearly as important. Okay, Kajalam, yeah, we're building our administrative offices, so that's where it needs to be. Evexis, clearly we can get an upgrade in. I might switch out some of the mining districts in favor of... So yeah, this is the one disappointment, is that we went for something with heavy mining districts, and really mining districts are not what I need to be worrying about right now. But that's something to worry about later. 5 jobs is okay. Yeah, so all these worlds seem to be doing all right in terms of total jobs. This is an agri world. Now, we are laughing as far as food is concerned, but doesn't hurt to have a backup. Okay, this is due for... Well, I mean, if we wanted a backup, I suppose this would have been it. How are we doing for low? More than enough. I'm actually not quite sure what I want to do with this world yet, so we'll build a little of everything. A side note, okay, still not realizing its potential. Build a couple more generators. Ulim is already being colonized, so not much we can do about that. I mean, most of these worlds are kind of on the path where I want them to be. We can definitely do with some more basic jobs, so let's start with a few more districts. I like building the districts first just because it frees up those specialist slots. Although, again, bureaucrats don't always do the most important stuff at the start, so I might be setting myself up for some disappointment there. We'll knock out a couple more basic districts and also some forges. Okay, generally doing okay. Let's knock out a couple more bureaucratic districts just so I can fill it with more bureaucracy. And I think the rest of this we're in pretty decent shape. This is a little bit more about making sure that if I can upgrade something, I will. A lot of worlds with generators that are currently unused, though, so... I might as well just get the bureaucratic centers built, like... Or, sorry, administrative offices built. I don't think there's any reason for me not to be doing those investments. I could make a similar argument for the industrial worlds, except that I know those require specialized workers. So Iblira is a perfect example of this, where, yes, we're building, like there's a lot of slack here, but, there's no reason for me not to have these administrative offices built at this point. Let's get a couple of districts built. Okay, this is a number that makes me sad. We've got some clerks. I really don't think I want to make another farming world at this point. So a couple more districts never really have enough energy, I suppose. But obviously this is going to be an industrial world when all is said and done. Knights is already building its foundations for workers, but again, it's bureaucratic center. No reason not to have all of those extra offices. And oh wow, I've used up all my alloys, or all my minerals. That normally takes a lot more effort. So I suppose the only last thing I could say is it would be nice if I could get these worlds like combined into a nice tidy little sector. But that's a consideration for a future date. Okay, so another thing I want to work on. Let's get our armies consolidated into the... Holy crap, no. What on earth are you thinking? Don't even... No. No. Do not go through... Could you imagine if they declared war right around the time I had 74 army units traveling through their territory? That would be...
Incoming transmission.
Character building, I think, is the diplomatic way of putting that. Our tree... Okay, so they lack the minerals. Gearoids are in my federation. But again, I'm gonna guess that I get more firepower with my alloys than they do. So that trade agreement was for 70. Let's take it down to 65. Now again, the extra mineral, or getting some of those minerals back is not going to be the worst thing in the world for me because I do need to rebuild those numbers. But just, like, I make so many of them, it's really hard for me to know what to do with all of it. Ultima Ratio Regum. It has been verified that the Vitresis Hive has finished the construction of a massive juggernaut ship. This mobile space base packs extensive firepower and is able to build and maintain ships at the front line of battle, making it a superior threat in any combat scenario. It is truly the apex armament of space war. Bit of a game changer, that one. So again, the more of the burden the Vitresis Hive can shoulder, the happier I'll be. Although again, they are fighting the Grey Tempest as well. So of course, if the Rithelian Crusaders manage to knock out the Vitresis Hive, that just means that they get stronger. Okay, let's try and get some more Corvettes built. God, it's so depressing how little I can produce. They're so getting ready to kill me. So I need 5 more for my main fleet. Do I not get the option to close my borders to them? Well, actually, this is kind of interesting. So if they wind up sending their fleets...
We are spreading our faith to a new world.
Yeah, so if they wind up sending out their fleets to a spot, like...
Debris analyzed.
Into the Rithelian... If they go to the Rithelian Crusaders with their bigger fleets, that might mean that we get the jump on them. So I want to be very careful about this, because you notice that they're already building up their fleets. I need to make my move soon. Otherwise, their ability to produce new ships is simply too it's simply too much. Like, I'm not going to be able to fight them to a standstill there. But if I can, like, if they just move a couple of those fleets in the wrong areas, and all of a sudden my forces are now focused on popping their star bases, that might actually just be the advantage I need to see this thing through. So I guess when it comes down to it, we need to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stations to knock out their ability to build new fleets. Each of those stations are strong enough to sort of be even to my existing forces. Oh, actually, the other thing I should see here is if there's anything more fancy I can do. Imperial Prerogative might be tempting here. Okay, and we've closed off Become the Crisis, so let's do Imperial Prerogative to try and close that gap. I'm going to just take a quick second here and do a quick internet search. Didn't really answer the question, I noticed. Okay. I'm going to guess that they're not.
Our ships have been improved.
Okay, good news. Two more and we're able to boost up the Vernala
The spirits
Starfleet.
have granted us new wisdom.
Okay. Pretty much everything goes into weaponry now, so let's do the focusing arrays for the energy damage. I might even get rid of the patrols at this point, just so we can throw some more bodies at our enemies. You can send out the 5 to join the Vernala. Oh, interesting. So the Rithelians have already shown up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to want to take these guys on. Oh, War with the Awakened. Did not take long for the Ancients to take notice of our League of Non-Aligned Powers. Representatives from both warring powers have come to Quantos demanding the dissolution of the League and for its members to choose sides in the war. Naturally, we refused. And as of this morning, we are now in a state of war with both the Rithelian Crusaders and the Ignorval Regulators.
The heathens march against us.
This massively sucks. I really want to know what happened to all those fleets that were in my territory, because they are in a position to really screw me. But, alright. The war is underway. And the music just got appropriate. So let's take the fleets we have. Okay, we gotta wait for the repairs at least. Everything else, though. Okay, so these forces we're gonna combine into one big one. Again, it'd be nice to do all these upgrades, but we're just not in a position. We're like, the time has come. So we'll gather at the Maisa system. We will pray to God that the army makes it. Okay, good. This is going to get really ugly.
Construction complete.
But yeah, our first goal is going to be to take I think the Ethiuk system. Let's go and take Pentarum. Let's get the capital for starters.
The
and where we
apostates
can.
are after our spaceport.
Okay, yeah, we're just going to have to accept some of these. Yes, we will end the session. And the reason we do that... So this has just supercharged my diplomatic power. So what we are going to do is we'll now change the focus. And that's going to be an emergency measure. And I believe we have enough strength for this measure that we will automatically be able to pass it effectively. Okay, so the good news is the army made it out. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to let the... Oh, maybe they won't come to me.
Spaceport martyred.
I hope they come to the Maisa system. If they do, we are going to... Vlur, an extremely powerful subspace entity of some kind, has been encountered in the Ginam system. It does not appear hostile and may even be fully aware of conventional spacecraft, but its mere presence in Ginam is causing massive subspace disturbances in the entire system. These disturbances are localized around the entity itself and should disappear when it leaves the system. While it does not acknowledge hails, the entity is continuously emitting a complex pattern of tachyon pulses, which appears to be a form of language. If our translation software is correct, it is saying over and over, Vlur seeks, Vlur finds. This will interfere with ship systems. Oh god, this is nuts. Okay. Doesn't look like they're on their way, so we will bring the fight to them.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
We are going to give up everything in this area over here. We need to fight them in their home territory. What in God's name? Oh my God, 23-27. Jesus. Okay. I don't see any way that we can win this, but we will try. I'm going to do more administrative capacity because we are so close to what I need. I'm going to get some battleships where I can. Nope, that was it. Okay. Whew, okay, here we go. And no, we're not playing that music. We're playing music appropriate to the moment. Okay, the escorts are melting. That's good. Some of our destroyers are too, though. Not a lot of destruction. There's a lot of retreats here. Okay, what did that cost us? Holy smokes. Okay, it's all screening ships, which is good. But we didn't, like, we only killed one battlecruiser out of that. So let's get our science ship on this research. Yeah, we're gonna follow the plan. We're gonna take the Aethique system. So in terms of high-powered fleets, they don't have that much. It's just this big one here. So if we can find a good place to hold, we might actually be able to see this through. Oh, and they just split. Oh no, hang on. They were sitting on a secret one. Okay, so let's get everybody focusing on this one first. Okay, so we should have a clear path to this base. If I get any hint that they're... Okay, nope. They're moving out to this system here. Again, there's got to be losses that I suffer as far as systems are concerned. I need to focus my forces on where they're going to do the most good. And right now, the best I can do is start taking out these bases, because that's going to be where they can get their reinforcements from. Okay, there's going to be a big fight. Oh god, this could be the end of us right at the start. Oh god, I'm really nervous. Sorry, I want to see Lyrum. Scomia, sure. Anywhere. I just needed a place to... I'm really hoping we make short work of this thing, because there's a fleet on its way to hurt us. Oh god, I almost forgot. Okay, the Shroud. Are we still dreaming? Reach into the Shroud. The void here shimmers with power. Let us rest a while. Let's go for the sensor range. Our telepaths have been overwhelmed by the intense strain that they were put under during our communion with the Shroud. They can no longer maintain the link. Fair enough. Here's one big thing I forgot to do, though. We're basically activating everything. So, focusing crystals. Yes. Crystalline sensors. Sure, why not? Volatile reactive armor. Why not? Explosives. Yes. Ammunition. Yes. Don't need the land clearance. Shield boost. Yes. Sublight speed. Yes. Terraforming gases. Don't need. Still do the research subsidies. Scientific revolution. Sure, desperate measures. And then we also have some tech. Okay. Take the head of Zarklon. We are yours. Point us towards your enemies. Zarklon wills it. Let us find military applications. Combat drugs, harmonic isolation, weak point analysis. Yeah, weak point analysis. And we're out of minor artifacts. So we're throwing everything we can at our problem. Okay, there's 238k strength fleet on its way to hurt us. Good news is, we'll at least be able to smack these guys around a bit. Bad news is, everything else is gonna murder us. But we'll make our stand here. Like, if we can't hold here, where, you know, we have the defensive systems and the repairing, we're just simply not going to hold. This is about as good as we can hope. The Vitresis Hive is getting their asses kicked. All right. So our hope that the rival empires would be hurting each other didn't materialize. Let's see how we do against this fleet.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Okay, Mega Engineering's nice. Nanite repair system. I think that's going to be a pretty high priority soon. Okay, so as far as the game's concerned, they fought themselves back into possession of that base. Okay, what did we lose? 3 battleships. Oh my god. We lost so much. They only lost 5 escorts out of that. Okay, so I believe this is the one that we beat before. I'm going to take a slightly different approach to this. So the first thing we need to do is repair. Otherwise, we're done for. Actually, while I'm at it, let's see if we can combine up some of our fleets. Oh god, yes we can. They're too strong. This is going to be the one for the bureaucratic world. It started with a K. Cadulum, there we go. And we are in a point where I think I can afford to buy some alloys. So let's get some battleships built. I mean, I might even want to just build some Titans at this point, but I don't think I have the time to wait. Okay, this should turn out in our favor.
Heretic fleet engaged.
Certainly doesn't look like it. Oh my god!
Claimed one of our fleets.
That's terrible. So I don't like the fact that we're limping to go and protect this, but that's my juggernaut that's about to get wiped out. Ah ha ha! They got their friends coming too, so they're going to be able to recover that. Oh.
Heretic fleet engaged.
I'm pretty sure we're getting our asses kicked here. Yeah, you're witnessing the loss in this. We just got wiped out. I blew it. Problem is that I technically still have 50 minutes left in the cast, but our war goal does not permit us to do this. Okay. So here's what I'll do. We'll fast forward. I don't actually see a whole lot. I don't see a lot of use in. I don't see a lot of use in playing this out. So yeah, I mean, if I'm completely honest with myself, the seeds of this defeat were laid very, very early on.
Heretic fleet detected.
So the biggest problem here was that
Heretic fleet detected.
I never really did get on top of the Empire Sprawl, which held me back as far as the tech was concerned. And the other challenge with it is that I spent so much time pursuing, trying to get that Empire Sprawl under control.
Heretic fleet detected.
Heretic
fleet detected.
Like what I did here. Basically, the problem that I really ran into there is that I spent so much time trying to overcome that. Not only was I not putting
Heretic fleet detected.
My investment into being able to build up my fleets, but I was technologically stagnant as well. So,
Heretic fleet
detected. You never know when the crisis event is going to trigger. Obviously, at the start of this run, I was talking about my long-term plans in terms of going to war with the Vitresis Hive. And it's really clear here that that was never going to happen. The empires woke up.
Heretics.
Obviously, I didn't have to choose to be independent. But I wanted to, I didn't really like the idea of losing my, autonomy. So I rolled the dice, and the fact of the matter is that they just simply ramped up too fast for me to be able to do anything about it. The other possibility of the Vitresis Hive sort of acting as a buffer, clearly they're falling as well. So the two great powers in this game didn't really live up to their expectations. But again, the lesson that I'll be taking from this for the next time is really just I need to think a little more seriously about how I'm going to do stuff like keep my Empire Sprawl under control, because the really big problem with this was the knock-on effects of the fact that
a heathen invasion
I wasn't expecting that. Where this really wound up being felt was the fact that my alloy thousands of minerals, a couple hundred in terms of alloys, and so much of my production was going into consumer goods. For instance, I'm generating 724 consumer goods compared to 259 alloys. And again, that was just trying to maintain this massive bureaucracy to keep the Empire Sprawl under control. So, I mean, again, this was my effort to try and get back into Stellaris. Sometimes losing is part of the fun. I'm a little embarrassed to lose on what I think is a pretty standard difficulty. Usually I will win before the crisis comes. But yeah, I mean,
blasphemers have occupied one of our
there's
planets.
Another version of this. There's definitely another version of this game where the war in heaven triggered at a later time, and by then I was able to sort of get my my navies under control. I mean, something as simple as me just running in and taking out the Ichnerval regulators rather than just waiting for them to invade me would have been would have been another way of doing it. By the way, I also don't know, like I could be giving up a little too early, but there's just something about seeing all of my fleets get wiped out on the Ichnerval regulators, and knowing that there's going to be more on their way. I just sort of lost my will to live. So we'll enjoy some time together on this one. I am actually really happy that I got to mess around with some of the galactic community stuff. Wow, look at that, right? My diplomatic weight going from 40k to 16. I'm sure it's a deal. It does make me wonder, like, what might have happened if we could have passed this a little earlier. I don't think that would have been enough to sort of save me. I think the fleet was too wounded to be effective. But definitely we'd be... So in terms of bonuses, we'd be looking at... what was it? The Galactic no, that's not it. So we had the the Galactic Contender, so that would be 33%, then plus the resolution that we just passed, which would be like another 20. Yeah, that probably would have made a dent. I just don't think that would have stopped. I don't think that would have stopped me from getting clobbered. While we're getting destroyed, let us hear let us remind ourselves of who we're witnessing the subjugation of. So, the story of the Emetherians. This was in honor of the Dick patch. Accurately separating facts and legends about the Black Codex would require membership, and anything less than membership in the higher orders would only be accurate for about 60% of the time. Be accurate about 60% of the time. Reputed members have ranged from Rhizome Capital's most popular televangelist Francis Baybury to the unnamed head of the intelligence services of the Blessed Ilari Grand Duchy. The greatest cryptographers have been...
one of our planets.
Have been stymied by the Black Codex's use of metaphorical ciphers, while the great philosophers of lesser empires lack the computational power to bear witness to the labyrinthine sermons of Matriarch Bethen. The Black Codex knows and keeps all what they do with the information remains to be seen. So we modeled that in terms of their traits. They were intelligent, they were traditional, and they were communal. And then I said slow breeders. This wasn't so much like a biological thing, it was just the idea that if you... if you're in a society like that, it's kind of hard to gain membership. So that was sort of how I modeled it.
Blasphemers have occupied one of our planets.
So as far as government structure was concerned, we were authoritarian fanatic spiritualists. We went for exalted priesthood and cutthroat politics. And then we added Byzantine bureaucracy to it. Again, mostly just trying to take some of the ideas of either old cults and religions, things like the Pythagoreans and whatnot. Definitely very heavily influenced by the fact that the patch was named after Philip K. Dick. Actually, the idea of metaphorical ciphers was a really big one, which is actually present in one of my favorite works by Philip K. Dick, The Man in the High Castle. I don't know whether or not... I don't think that idea is present in the Amazon TV show, but I will also confess that I don't know enough about it to... I don't know enough about it to say. But yeah, so what happens after the war in heaven? Well, clearly either the Ichnerval regulators or the Rithelian Crusaders are going to win. And I imagine the Black Codex...
Blasphemers have occupied one of our planets.
One of the things that was kind of interesting in the origin story for the Black Codex is this implication that they were the intelligence services of a former great empire. And that either they were always like that, or the fact that they were able to survive the fact that they were able to survive sort of led them to have
Martyred.
those cult-like features. So what I sort of imagine here is the Black Codex. I don't quite maybe see them running an insurgency, but I also see them being able to act as subjects under one or the other of the fallen empires. And ultimately, sort of the story continues on in terms of, you can almost actually, the way I almost imagine this would be, depending on how the the galaxy is shaped by the awakened empires. You can almost imagine them as sort of Christianity before the conversion of the emperors. Sort of this potentially persecuted group that is still sort of leaving secret messages and sort of passing on some of the words in these very elaborate either texts or these secret codes. I do kind of want, again, I'm a little bit lost. I'd be interested in getting some feedback from chat in terms of seeing where this goes. I don't have the ability to turn on the console, so this was an Iron Man run, so I'm not able to like move the speed any faster than fastest. But I am a little curious where how everyone sort of feels about the, wait, what am I voting? I'm opposing it. Okay. I'd kind of like to see how the War in Heaven turns out. We're definitely going to be waiting a while before it seems like they're taking their sweet time to be able to invade us. I'd kind of like to see where all of this is going. But I don't know if it's very fun for everyone to just sort of watch the gameplay itself. So if you are... Intham Prime was encased by an impenetrable shield by the global passive... Oh my god. They glassed Intham Prime. They've got a super weapon. So for those of you that know, but yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the if you are interested in talking about the game, or ideas behind different species and such, I'm happy to do this. For those of you who don't know what happened, so in the Apocalypse
Heretic fleet detected
expansion, they added the idea of planet cracker. Well, not just planet crackers, but they added the idea of there's the Colossus ship that you can make, and it's basically Death Stars. So there is the planet cracker, which would be the
Heretic fleet detected.
The Death Star as you've seen in it's the one you'd imagine, right? The beam that comes down and blows up the world. But that's not the only one. So there's the Global Pacification Unit, which is the Ichnerval. This is done by the Ichnerval regulators, and when essentially what they did there was they encased the world in an impenetrable protective shield. So they're forever cut off from the rest of the universe, which, as far as the game is concerned, that is still considered an atrocity. That is still something that prevents... That's still something that will cause the galactic community to react in horror at what you've done. That's obviously very different from a beam that actually destroys the planet itself. There's one which is kind of like... basically, it sort of scours the world of biological life. So it's one where basically the planet is intact, but it destroys all the biological life on it, and you get it for yourself. That's actually a really helpful one for just kind of wiping out the enemy, but being able to tap all the resources. There's also one kind of nicknamed the God Ray.
Heathens are invading one of our planets.
Which basically converts it converts your
occupied one of our planets.
It converts your worlds into religious worlds. Which I think is a wonderful idea for an apocalyptic weapon. They should probably ditch the it doesn't really matter, but but yeah, so like basically this is a technologically focused species, so it's maybe not surprising that they went for the pacification. I'm curious if there is a... Yes, so they also have a Colossus. I don't know if we know what type it is. Where's this thing? Oh, they're taking out the Colossus. So it says Cleanser class. I wonder if the Vitrice... Oh no, the Vitrices are about to get clobbered. Okay, so they just glassed another colony of ours. This entire world is encased in some kind of impenetrable energy barrier. It blocks all scans of the surface. So if it's a cleanser, I have to assume... Yeah, the tree... I'm going to lose the top position in the council, unfortunately. So I'm just going to tab out for a quick second. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the game sort of ends in this rather ignoble ending, but I'd love to. I'd actually be personally. I'd be kind of interested to know.
It's time.
Oh, come on. I'd be interested to know like what people find interesting on this sort of stuff. So I know there's only kind of a handful kicking around right now. But I don't know. Like, is there a particular preference in terms of sort of seeing how this sort of thing is? I don't know how it finishes, right? Like, do you want to see it run through to the end? Do you want to talk about the playthrough? Or in future, like, would it be better for me just to, when I decide to finish, move on to something different? The only thing I do wish I'd done differently is I would have liked to see what the Imperium looks like. I mean, technically I could form it now. It's just I won't get to do anything interesting with it. What is intriguing is just to take a look. So if you take a look at the overall war goals, like they've pretty much taken over all of my worlds, but we're nowhere close to actually being, having their war goals enforced. I'm assuming that will follow fairly quickly. Like I'm assuming they've already taken the capital world. Yeah. But I'm assuming they're probably talking about the whole galaxy. So. Maybe what I'll do is, let's give this until it takes all of the Black Codex territory. I want to see what the game sort of tells me as far as the state of the world. And we'll sort of see we'll see what the game does after that, because I don't actually remember what the condition is to... I don't know what the condition is to end the game on. That is unbelievable that the Vitrices Hive
Heathens are invading one of our planets.
Position 5. I was the top of the the non-fallen empires. Does that count? But yeah, I'm curious when the game sort of tells me that there's no hope.
Blasphemers have occupied one of our planets.
It's like I'm assuming all of these are just because
Heathens are invading one of our planets.
Yeah, the worlds haven't been invaded. Yeah, let me see if I can talk a little bit more about how I will do things differently in the future. That's so interesting. The Vitresis Hive decided to protect my territory while they're getting eaten by the Rethelian Crusaders. So one of the things I'm sort of thinking of here, obviously, so I think probably my attitude towards Empire Sprawl was a function of me being a megacorp for so many games. So one is maybe to get a little bit more control over my expansion. Especially because I think early on what I had done, I'd seen this nice big swath of galaxy for myself, and I kind of tried to grab as much of it as I could, thinking that somebody else would, and yet even by the end of the game, this is unexplored, this untouched space, right? So that was not a good assumption on my part, and it's hard for me to say that I actually really realized the potential of all that land that I took. So I definitely see the original sin being a sort of a lack of respect for the economy. I wound up dedicating a lot of resources towards building and maintaining a bureaucracy, but that bureaucracy was not really doing anything other than just sort of hanging on to my planets. Of course, the purpose of hanging on to those planets should be to produce more things, produce research, produce alloys, produce industrial goods. So, again, like all of that I had plans for. All of that I was like, well, I'm going to grab those worlds so I can eventually build them up. And then I think I just wound up chasing my own tail there. So that's one big one to change. I think I'm really past the point where I should just be, like, I really think I should probably be thinking about my fleets a little bit more. Now, the inability of some local spiritual leaders on Lemsa Prime to even begin to claim the rampant unrest in the colony has calm the rampant unrest in the colony has led to the populace taking a more rational view of the material realm they inhabit. So for the longest time, I've just sort of gone for an even split in terms of command points, and I've sort of let the AI take care of the ship construction. And I put so much energy into developing my my site or my decryption technology and all of that. And to a certain extent, you got to ask, like, to what end? Like, I never used that information in terms of what my my allies were. Well, ultimate allies. I never really used that technology to find out what they were flying with. Fleet detected. So for my own purposes, I think I'm probably going to sit down with a pen and paper and think a little bit about how I want to design different fleets, and specifically what I intend to accomplish with given fleets. That's not something that I think is very interesting in terms of streaming, so that's probably more of a me thing. What else can I think about? Again, I'm trying to think about things that I can reflect on, like, while the map is still up. I think the overall plan in terms of buying up the slaves worked well. I actually think that I eventually
are invading one of our planets.
I think I mislabeled some of my population problems. So I think it wasn't so much population problems
occupied one of our planets,
as it was the fact that I was I was mismanaging the economy, that the pops I was putting in place were really just maintaining the existing buildings as opposed to adding more. And you can even see that in terms of the technological difference between me and the Vitresis Hive. I was just sort of relying on the overall weight of my population to be able to outdo them, and the War in Heaven got in the way there. How are the rankings? I'm curious. We are still above the Vitresis Hive. Technically, it's the spiritualists who are winning, so we might do better in the post-war order. Sure, let's extend the deal. Gives me something to spend my energy credits on. We'll take the wide view. I'm also kind of interested notice that the Grindor black hole is empty. I'm thinking that's because the Grey Tempest has been eating up the Vitresis Hive's territory. So I'm also a little curious whether or not the Grey Tempest is going to come and sort of spoil the fun for everyone. The Zaxoids are obviously the ones who will suffer under that, so I'm not as worried. How are we doing for time? Technically, I still have a
Heretic
half hour
fleet
left.
detected.
It'll feel weird if I spend a half hour doing all of this, but the for somebody who's conquered my my empire, they're sure taking their sweet time to actually seal the deal. So, good lord. Yeah, these are all, like, a bunch of them are blockaded, but they're not seized yet.
Heretic fleet detected.
I was kind of hoping I would
spirits
see
have
what would
granted
happen
us
when
new
these two
wisdom.
when
Heretic
these two
fleet
fight.
detected.
I probably should pick like long-term research.
Heretic fleet detected. Evading heretics.
The one thing I will say for some of the changes that have come in through intelligence, and again, I think they make sense.
Heretic fleet detected.
I'm not really sure what to
Heretic
make
fleet
of
detected.
like. There's just a little bit less for me to
Heretic
do in
fleet
terms of
detected.
looking at interesting things now that the ship details aren't accessible to me. I think particularly in the case of the fallen empires, it would be nice if there is some sort of way that you can actually see what their ships are made out of. You can obviously use the
Heretic
combat
fleet
reports
detected.
to try and figure out what's effective against them, and like to a certain extent, right? Think about the science fiction that you like, even like something like Independence Day, right? Like the old Will Smith movie. You go and first of all, you don't know if they're hostile, and then okay, yes, they are hostile. And conventional weaponry doesn't work against them, but Will Smith is able to figure out abstain.
Heretic fleet
More
detected.
Biskorak is the one who gets to preside over the decline. So yeah, and it's Will Smith's fancy flying that that's able to cause the ship to crash. So it's not so much it's not so much our technology that's able
Heathens are invading one of our
to beat
planets.
them, so much as just some quick thinking on the part of a soldier. So okay, so there's a few things that we can do, but clearly this is not a
Blasphemers have occupied one of our planets.
this is not the sort of thing that we can rely on in terms of taking out, because all it successfully did was take out an alien fighter. So then you go and you learn what the aliens' intentions are. So it's like, okay, yeah, we now need to use the nuke, right? It's catastrophic
Evading
to
heretics.
fire our most powerful weapon over our own soil, but there's no doubt that this is what we need to do against the overwhelming alien force, and of course the target remains afterwards. So there's, basically you've got this whole process of sort of like testing and discovering. I don't know quite, historically how this has happened, because obviously there have definitely been cases where any given military force has had to encounter something that they haven't seen before, and clearly their ability to survive is largely dependent on their ability to address that threat, to address that new thing. And of course, in some cases, people will have, it'll be an advantage that they have as opposed to just see, like, so if you see something new, but the forces are roughly equal, maybe that's not as worrying. But obviously, in a lot of these cases, it's something that you could construe as a technological advantage. And yet, you also have these examples where a technological advantage is not necessarily the thing that will carry the day. So, anyways, I'm babbling. So, all of this is to say that I think there's a lot of good reasons, both in terms of telling an interesting story, in terms of precedent, either as a war game or as something that you'd see inside of science fiction. I do think that there is something of an argument that you can make for saying that, okay, yes, we are going to hide the ship details from the player. The only... Zaxoids awaken psionic abilities. All Zaxoids throughout the galaxy have undergone a great change. Whereas before their latent psionic power had only blossomed in a small minority, the entire species has now unlocked its full psychic potential. Although these changes seem to have originated in the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation, they have now manifested in all members of their species regardless of where they reside. Aside from displaying an array of powerful psionic abilities, Zaxoids have started to forego verbal communication with each other in favor of telepathy. I felt a great psionic disturbance, the great psionic disturbance of their awakening. So, this is actually a neat idea. So the idea of the Black Codex being able to communicate using telepathy
Heretic fleet detected.
To survive under the occupation. So, all of this, I think, you can sort of use as a justification to keep the ship information hidden. The only thing that I would say in reply to that is it would be nice to have a little bit more detail in terms of how you did, right? So right now, it seems to me when facing a fallen empire... Oh, they vanished. Total effectiveness, neutron launchers, super good at damage to hull. Like, there's only so much you can really expect yourself to glean from this. So maybe maybe I'd say if it's going to be a question of trial and error, I think I can get behind that. But it would maybe be nice to know, it would be nice to have maybe a few more tools to facilitate that sort of an exchange, or that kind of discovery. Because I think, think of the contrast between how you handle empires that are other players, be they AI or be they, be humans. You've got this whole system now of espionage and code breaking and that interactions with empire sprawl and, basically the resources that you've put towards being able to discern someone else's secrets.
Fleet detected.
All of that's really interesting stuff. And then contrast that with what happens with the Fallen Empires. And essentially what happens with the Fallen Empires is you can't do it. All that you get is the outcomes of space battles, which, let's face it, we were definitely feeling pretty overwhelmed, even when we had one big fleet that we were just moving into their territory to take on. So, and I mean, I'm somebody who pauses and plays slowly to make everything happen. So it's
Heretic fleet detected.
It's not like I didn't put some effort into, into being able to make the to be able to discern what was happening. But that said, I did mention how I wanted to better understand fleet composition and just generally how to make more effective ships. I think that's going to be true for a while. Just to give you an idea about how I'd approach that. Let's go back to the Stellaris wiki. Again, if something happens in the background,
Heretic fleet detected.
I'll turn my attention to it.
Our science ship is beset by enemies.
Is it? Oh, that's right. There's the Star Eater if you become the Crisis. Weapon components. So yeah, it's not even just rock, paper, scissors anymore. So you've got anti-armor, anti-hull, penetrating, anti-shield, then kinetic, explosive, and then of course your strike crafts. So you have this whole set of questions, and again, because you don't manually control the ships, you've got this whole set of questions in terms of like, do the capital ships get the energy weapons? So there's one set of weapons where that's more or less decided for you, and that's the lance, right? I think that can only be mounted on capital weapons or capital ships. But yeah, so there's a few of those where there might be some obvious steps. But so it's number one, determining how the AI will position all of the ships during the combat. Then number two, it's sort of understanding what your opponent is carrying relative to what you're bringing. And again, that also feeds back into how the game behaves in terms of like what do your screening ships do, and you can control that to a certain extent in the ship designer. So we'll take this Corvette as an example. So for instance, we can do swarm. So ship will charge straight at enemies and try to deal as much damage as possible from point blank. Or we can do picket. The ship will advance to close range and attempt to intercept the enemy. So those are your two options for corvettes. Then for your destroyers, you've got picket, will advance to close range and attempt to intercept. You've got line, will hold advance to medium range and hold formation. Or artillery, ship will stay at long range and fire its long range weapons at the target. For cruisers, we have picket, we have line, artillery, and carrier. The ship will stay at extreme range and fire its long-range weapons on the target. Battleships have carrier. I think it's carrier, artillery, and line. Yeah, so that's basically the same. Now, I've never really checked out Titans. So Titans have artillery and carrier. To me, the perdition beam is kind of. It would seem to me to be the one that you'd run with. And I don't think there's an AI for the... Oh! I never checked out the auras, though. Okay, so it does have carrier. Artillery and carrier. Yeah. But yeah, so I should probably be checking those a little more often than I actually am. But, yeah, so, I mean, the biggest challenge that I have right now in terms of making those determinations is I don't really know how the game handles something like saying, it's like, okay, I've got a bunch of... So, like, let's say you've got swarm tactics, right? So you have a bunch of corvettes kind of coming in to try and take out your Titan, let's say. And you've got, let's say you've got your own corvette set to picket. What happens in that case? Do they go to intercept to try and make sure that the Titan is kept safe? Is there a difference between doing swarm and picket if everybody else is listed as artillery? Obviously, there's quite a bit to unpack there. So maybe one thing that I'll be doing in future is taking a look at like the number of ships. So when it comes to these like destroyers and whatnot, to say, okay, I want to make sure that I have, twice as many of the screening ships to make sure that I can absorb whatever they're throwing at me. And then I'm going to make sure that everything else is just kind of sitting at long range and just bombing the hell out of everyone. That sort of stuff. What are they doing? Ban organic slave trade. We'll do a nice thing at the end. At this point, I'm just really curious when the game forces me to lose. It actually also really intrigues me. So we've got the Rithelian Crusaders who are up here, and we've got the we've got the Iknuval Regulators who clearly have taken more of my territory, and yet our war exhaustion is higher against the people who aren't invading me. The desires inflicted upon our people by the instrument are strong. The people of Ugrasil Prime have been caught in a frenzy of consumerism and decadence, demanding ever more exclusive goods, ever rarer and more savory foods. Already rioting has broken out at several shopping districts, and we've been forced to ramp up production of our farms and industries to prevent the planet from descending into chaos. We're actually about to run out of food. Focus on the Grey Tempest. Well, sure. So shortage of food, biological happiness -25, growth reduction 75, assembly speed reduction, and then consumer goods, lower happiness, lower unity, lower society. Yeah, that's overall terrible. Okay, what's happening on these worlds here? So no armies. Maybe they'll try something on
Heathens are
Chalks.
invading one of our planets.
Okay, they are cleaning up. They're just really slow about it.
Evading heretics.
It does look like there's a few systems that haven't actually been taken over, though. So Yinan is an example of this. So some of these make sense, right? So Borobo, like, it's just a question in terms of the fact that I don't think the worlds have been invaded yet. I have no idea why they haven't moved on Yinan, Eral, and Altair. So presumably Lyram is the next target. No. So why did they have a perfectly functioning army? Oh, I get it, because they're bombing. That's why they're taking so long. They're putting all the ships into a bombing pattern. Looks like they're not using their Colossus anymore, though. Okay, so the Crusaders just took the... Well, they didn't exactly take the L Gate, but the... Oh, interesting. Okay, well, this is where the... This is where the Grey Tempest was. I don't know if we were ever really at a spot where we credibly could have taken on the Grey Tempest, but I think we could have at least maintained against them. The reason I say that is that I'm really not sure whether or not this is what we would have been facing against them, or if we would have gotten lucky as far as what was happening with the Vitresis Hive. I have a feeling that the conquest of us is going to be held back a little bit while the two great powers clobber each other for a bit. Yeah, so it's 297 army strength. The garrison's 298. So again, I'm assuming that they're just going to slowly bomb us out. I prefer my method of just coming in with overwhelming force. But my economy did fall apart at the end of this, so maybe I shouldn't be backseat invading. Yeah, 6 more minutes. I'm trying to keep my keep my run times consistent, but I did kind of want to see this thing to the end. I'm committed now, right? So we'll go as far as we can. But I don't think I don't think I'm going to get to a point where I get to see the end of the war in heaven. Like, I can probably have this thing run, like, overnight, and there may not be a lot of movement. Where are the rest of their armies? Or do they just not have a lot in terms of armies? So I kind of feel like if they combined these two armies, they wouldn't have that hard of a time taking out some of my worlds. I feel like whatever they're doing to Lemsa, surely at this point, yeah, like there isn't even a garrison anymore. Like they're just bombing the planet because they can. So I figure they can knock me out by either glassing the rest of my worlds or just moving the armies to the right worlds. Oh, good God! They've got a 700 strength army. I mean, in fairness, they have tried to invade some worlds which didn't.
Our construction ship is beset by enemies. Construction ship martyred.
Okay, yeah. So there are some worlds where. But yeah, so there are definitely some worlds where they tried to invade and failed, so I can sort of understand the hesitancy. Also, I totally had the numbers wrong on here. It's a 200-something strength army.
Blasphemers have occupied one of our planets.
So Chalk's Prime, I don't think they're going to invade anytime soon. I don't know, there's a side of me that kind of wants to have this run overnight, just to see where it goes. I'm just going to tab out to another window. I figure at the very least I can try and find somebody to host in the meantime. There's not too many people online, actually. I appreciate, for those of you who are hanging out, by the way, I realize I'm doing my best to kind of talk about things that I'm interested in terms of the game. But I realize I'm just sort of playing this out as long as I can, and it's not necessarily the most compelling Stellaris gameplay that I've ever done. Again, if you're interested in something, I'm happy to, I'm happy to adjust the dialogue. But I guess the tricky part for me here. Interesting. So I had a notebook running in the background for something. Okay, I'm going to have to think a little bit about how to fix that. So yeah, sorry, I just had something running in the background on somebody else's server, so it's not the end of the world if I run out of resources on it, but I wanted to try and at least make the most of the time. Okay, that is a 146 strength, that's a 305 strength, so again, it sort of invites the question why they're not taking us out. So it's a 300 strength garrison. I suspect probably it's the fact that I had these strongholds that slowed me up here. But yeah, I mean, if we want to wait and see the whole galaxy be taken over, I think we're in for a bit of a wait. I would have to guess that the Crusaders are the ones who see it through to the end. I guess there isn't a military number for the... So, like, the main argument that I would give for this one is because of the Rithelian Crusaders, where they're sitting right now, they have a stronger economic base from which to clean up the Ichnerval regulators. So while it is true that the Ichnerval can definitely turn their attention towards the Rithelian Crusaders, I think over time, the fact that this is going to be uncontested territory for a long time and that this was held by one of the major economic powers, you know, this is totally uncontested territory for the Rithelian Crusaders now, whereas for me, I'm still, like, let's face it, right? I'm still generating alloys. I am still generating energy credits. Like, I have enough energy credits to stop me from... Whoa, neutron sweep. Yikes. It's a little grim. So they now have more than one Colossus? Unbelievable. Oh, I get it. Okay. Yeah, the neutron sweep is from the Rithelian Crusaders, not the Ichnuval regulators. But yeah, so it just seems to me that the time it takes them to take my existing territories, that's time. It's not even necessarily that they have to dedicate their fleets towards bombarding. Like, if you notice, the overall strength is not that impressive. It's really just one major fleet that they're using to bomb this territory. But it's the fact that all of these I have all of these worlds which are generating things for me, not this entity. Whereas the Rithelian Crusaders have not just their home territory, but they have all of these really, you know, these really effective planets for getting stuff made. Now, admittedly, like, they took out a hive mind for them, so I don't know practically what their pops look like. Yeah, it looks pretty sparse. But again, just it's a stronger economic base to build from, and so give it enough time, I would just see the weight of the forces. Even though I think there's a feeling that the spiritualist empire or fallen empires are not as strong. I'm not quite sure where that idea came from, but I think probably the numbers are on their side. And I mean, you already see that reflected on the map, right? Okay, so they're finally gobbling up the last few of my worlds. I think it also just comes down to the fact that, like, if you take a look at the War in Heaven, like, the overall exhaustion. We're definitely closer to surrendering to these guys than the others. But yeah, I don't know. How about I leave it to you this way? I am, as you can see, really running out of steam in terms of things to talk about. Maybe let me keep it as an opt-in thing. Does anyone here want to see how this thing turns out? Or would it be fair to say that we'll take it as given that I lost, and that if I let this thing run in the background, you know, I can report back as to what happened. While I wait for answers on that, I'll say I'm on the fence about another Stellaris run right away. So traditionally that has been my Monday game. I'm also struggling a little bit to find time for the Brace Yourself games, Industries of Titan and Phantom Brigade. So I might switch it up a little bit and you know, do some Phantom Brigade and Titan while you know, I reload for Stellaris. I'm on the fence about it because I actually also really like Stellaris, and I don't mind the idea of doing another run. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do like a small galaxy, and I'll try to do something that's specifically about focusing on things that I want to improve on, and like try to do like a small galaxy with a lot of just stuff to try and make the action happen early. Because I think the big drawback I'm feeling about this particular playthrough is not the idea that I lost, it's the fact that we had so many rounds of build up and that like within 2 hours of I think it was like within 2 hours of starting this particular session, we went from a spot where we were looking to topple our major rival to just like completely wiped out, which, you know, like it happens, right? We talked about why the seeds for this loss were sown a really long time ago, but obviously it's an anticlimactic ending, like to just see my fleet wiped out on Ethik, like that is like that's suddenly it's like, well, what did I waste all that time to watch all that build up for? So yeah, I think what I'll do, I'll call it here. I'm not going to go back to the main menu. I'm just going to find someone to host, and I'll just let this run in the background and see how it goes. Thank you for those of you who stuck with me. Let's see who's online. So it is D-Pain is currently doing Resident Evil 4. So I think I'm going to leave you in his good hands. I haven't actually had a chance to host him in a while. So as for the rest of the week, so tomorrow there is a new Elder Scrolls Oblivion episode coming up, for those of you that like the Dunmer voice. So that'll be live at, well, the vodcast will be going at 7 o'clock, and you can watch the high resolution one on YouTube if you'd like. Wednesday, we'll probably do Phantom Brigade because I believe that is going to have a new update, and I was taking a quick peek at it on the Brace Yourself channel. It actually looks really good. And then Friday, we've usually been doing Wolfenstein. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd like to do in between, so I am leaving myself some options open to mess around with my schedule a little bit. But for the time being, I will, I'll say that's kind of the plans overall. For those of you like Stellaris, I'm definitely warm to the idea of doing more of it on Monday. If I don't do it next Monday, it's just because I've got a couple of other things that I want to do, but I will definitely be going back to this game sooner rather than later. So if I take a break from it, it's a very temporary break. It's really become my main Paradox game. It kind of seems like in the latest Paradox earnings, they've been talking about how like Planetfall and Surviving Mars can become kind of core properties for them. I'm happy to hear that about Surviving Mars, because it kind of felt like they just stopped working on that after a while. But it seems that the player base for it has only grown. I actually would have preferred to see much more Planetfall as well, except that it's a little bit harder to say that the player numbers were necessarily there. I really tried my best to kind of keep streaming it, but it's really clear that the just the audience and the appetite for that game wasn't quite where it was, which is a shame, because I actually think Triumph, I think it's a really good game, and it's one that Triumph did a good job with, but again, it's a question of taste. Yeah, one way or the other, I definitely feel like it's something that there's a lot that I have available to work with. And I don't know, like I like Stellaris a lot. I think it's a game that there's enough interest in, and I do well enough. I'm just going to need to think about how I can get the action going a little bit sooner. Anyway, sorry. I was hitting the... Oh, my goodness. Senzade Theo, thank you very much for the subscription. I was actually just trying to come up with a graceful exit. I shouted out it's D-Pain, and I was about to host him. I really appreciate that. But yeah, anyways, have a good evening. Well, thank you so much. I'm so sorry to be exiting on a sub. I usually like to give a little bit more. But obviously we got our asses kicked tonight, so I need to go and lick my wounds. I am going to let this thing run so I can report back, on how the war in heaven went. But yeah, I don't know. So if, again, just to reiterate, I have every intention of doing more Stellaris. If I don't do it next Monday, it is a temporary break. It's not like Hollow Knight where I'm taking an extended time away from it to do like vodcast stuff. We will be back with more Stellaris sooner rather than later. Anyways, I am going to hit the raid button for It Is D-Pain.
Blasphemers have occupied one of
For
our
those of
planets.
you who do, please hang along. D-Pain's a very nice guy. But for those of you who want to chat Stellaris for the next few minutes, feel free to say something in chat. If not, I think the raid counter is done. I'll see some of you tomorrow for the vodcast on Oblivion. I'll see some of you Wednesday for Phantom Brigade. Some of you are going to hang out for Wolfenstein, and for the strategy-minded amongst you, see you within a week. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.